Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to another Tuesday morning Mortgage Coach coaching call. Every Tuesday morning, 9 o'clock Pacific, we're here to deliver the absolute best sales meeting in the mortgage industry every single week. My name is Dave Savage. I am the CEO of Mortgage Coach, and I urge everybody on this call to connect with me on LinkedIn and Facebook, and absolutely make sure you like Mortgage Coach on Facebook. We are constantly adding updates about what's happening in our community, who's going to be the guest on the coaching call, new things that are happening in Mortgage Coach land, and there's been a lot of new things. This is a particularly exciting week because it's the 20th anniversary of Sales Mastery, and I'm actually hosting this call right out of Palm Desert at the Palm Desert Marriott, a place where I have had just, amazing moments with so many great friends. I've been a little, I don't know, what do you call it, thinking of the history over the past couple of days, and so it's really cool to have Mr. Scott Cummings, one of my 20-year friends and someone that I met in the Sales Mastery community. Scott, welcome to the call.
Thanks, Dave. Glad to be here.
Good, man. Well, hey, you've been a guest on a lot of these calls, and we've done a lot of amazing things together over the years, thinking of Sales Mastery events, thinking of the, I think we were one of the first masterminds, Is that what we called our group that we created, 15 some odd years ago?
The name of it that we came up with, Stephen Marshall and I, we came up with it in the airport after one of our meetings was Strategic Mortgage Alliance.
Yeah, that was so amazing. We had about 8 mortgage professionals as part of our group?
Yeah. And some cool people, Tom Bass, Jane Floyd, Stephen Marshall, yourself, me, Jim Ladd, Klein.
Mark Klein.
Yeah, phenomenal people in that group.
Yeah, lifetime friends were created, and we would go out, not only have phone calls every month, but I don't remember how often we'd meet out at each other's
every 6 weeks.
Offices. Yeah, every 6 weeks. I remember the site visit in Albuquerque where we went up on the balloon ride. Just so many amazing life experiences, great professional highlights. So I'm looking forward to this call. I do want to remind everybody who's going to be at Sales Mastery, on Saturday we're having what we're calling Mastery Idol. So if you've got some type of social post on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, share it. There's a link on our Facebook page. You can just click on that or go to the Sales Mastery page. Actually, I think the link on our page drives you to the Sales Mastery page, and submit something. I want to make sure the Mortgage Coach community is well represented in this. I'm going to be one of the judges Saturday morning. I'm going to be dressed up as Randy the dog from American Idol, so it's kind of fun, kind of just a good time. So again, I urge all of you on this call right now, anybody that's going to be at Sales Mastery, you're going to be there Saturday. Read up on this little contest that we're having. There's going to be a free iPad, and hope to see you and hope to have a lot of fun together. Also, this is a big week, Sales Mastery this week, and then we're flying out to the NBA. We're one of 3 companies that are the finalists for the Mobile Innovation of the Year. So we're real proud of this. We put a lot of work in being a mobile company and delivering an amazing mobile experiences with Mortgage Coach. And Scott's going to talk about a little bit of that today. But check that out. Keep an eye out. Hopefully we win. This is just a little sneak peek of some of the awesome artwork that our marketing team has created, and it's going to be on showcased here at the Sales Mastery event. Everybody who's coming to Sales Mastery, come up. Tell me a story. Tell me what you like that we're doing, and give me ideas so we can do better. This is another special thing on today's calls. I've got a longtime friend and partner, Bill Fisher. I don't know, Bill, were you able to call in and make the call?
Yes, I was able to call.
Woo, Bill Fisher made it.
Mr. Low-Tech here.
Yeah, Mr. Low-Tech. You guys don't know what we went through to get to navigate the professor and economist Bill Fisher into this, but we got him here. So Bill, I actually don't know if 1995 is right. I think our relationship even predates that. Do you remember when we started doing business together? It was back in the Wednesday rap days.
Yeah, and I can't think of what the year was, actually. I'm getting bad at that.
Yeah. Well, all I know is it's so many years ago that I can't remember the year either. But for those of you that don't know Bill Fisher well, I met Bill, I mean, it's been well over 20 years ago, early in my career when I was a mortgage professional and I was looking for ways to scale my business. At the time, all of my business either came from past customers that I had built trust and relationships with, or CPAs and financial planners. And while Mortgage Coach was born out of that value proposition, I wanted to make my advice clearly valuable. I didn't want to win business based off of lower rates. I just wanted to, hey, I provide a different experience. My advice makes a difference. Part of that, my advice makes a difference value prop, was this info fax. And this predates, any of those mortgage-backed security monitoring solutions. Nobody was providing this type of advice in the marketplace back in the 90s. But Bill Fisher and I did, and we actually did it with a fax. It was called the info fax. And as you can see at the very top, it said, the purpose of this newsletter is to save you time and money by summarizing and interpreting economic news and trends that influence interest rates. Boom. And then I would just kind of update those first two squares. I would always have a message from Dave Savage positioning myself as an authority to CPAs, financial planners, and customers. And then Bill Fisher on the back end would make it awesome. I mean, he had just an incredibly unique way of telling what's happening in the market in a way that was relevant to everybody surrounding the home buyer. And, obviously you were my hero because you made me look smart. So Bill, we've got an exciting thing that we're doing together now. Bill has been creating these weekly talking points for, has it been 3 years? It's been several years now, right?
Yeah, again, I can't believe how long it's been.
Yeah, it's been some real time, and I had a really special gift. My partner, Greg Wexler, who runs our Rate Watch TV program, reached out to Bill, and together they put together these weekly talking points. So it's a bit innovative in the fact that it's how do we put it, an audio video. So Bill is taking the content that he's been writing. Yeah, go ahead, Bill.
It's talking points is what it is, I guess. And it's a thrill to do. It's a thrill. I don't get to do writing that really resembles the old Wednesday Wrap newsletter that was pretty strong when in its first 10 years. However, this right,
amazing.
You guys allow me to write from me rather than writing, putting words into the mouth of my clients, which is kind of a dicey proposition in any case. And so it gives me the opportunity to vent and blast off a little bit and stay with what's really happening insofar as I can see it out there in the economic world.
Well, you do it.
Sorry?
You do a great. I was going to say you do a great job of it. I hope everybody on this call listens to this. And Bill, before I bring Scott into the conversation, a lot of people don't know you. I mean, I know you're a professor. You're an economist. You know economics. You write content, and then you and I had a really interesting conversation where you actually help college students craft their message to the schools they want to get into, so that one, they're being attractive and they're going to get the college they want, but two, they're being their authentic self. So if you don't mind, real quick, share a little bit about your backstory, and then also talking to mortgage professionals who are on this. In today's marketplace, everybody is creating content, whether it's video, audio, in writing, and if you can just give some wisdom around how do we be authoritative and deliver content, but yet we do it within our unique voice. Any perspective you can provide?
Yeah. Let me go back to the issue of what I do each year. Every year, and I just got back from doing this, I go to a high school, a performing arts high school in Boulder, Colorado. I was there this year during a very wet season. And what I do is I help the seniors put together their letters that they send off to the colleges they're applying to. And it struck me after doing this for 2 years, all of a sudden I realized that one of the reasons that I was appropriate to this task is that it's what we do. It's what we do in real estate. It's what we must do. We must find appropriate and convincing ways, credible ways, of getting the message out about who we are. And it's a very tricky thing. Anybody who begins to brag or to puff themselves up or try to tell people that they're the best in the business or whatever, they get nowhere with that. That's a no-win. What you have to do, rather than telling people that you're great, is you have to show them that you're great. And what you have, among the things you have to show them, is the fact that you are a genuine, authentic human being that they want to deal with, that will make their transactions go more smoothly, that you will be somebody who listens to them and can communicate with them. And so it struck me that this is what essentially these high school students had to do with the admissions committees of the colleges they were applying to. They had to send something that was unique, that got the attention of some poor slob whose job is to read 5,000 college admissions letters, and something that gives, here's the key, something that gives the reader an experience of who they are, and does that by allowing the reader to share experiences as that person has had them. What happens out of that is the reader gets to know the person a bit, wants to know him more. And the easiest way to get to know more is to invite him to the college, to invite him to enroll. So this approach has been extremely successful, and one of my favorite results at the end of the process with a particular student, I work with them one-on-one in this, is to get a really satisfying essay from somebody. For example, there was a prompt that one school sent out and asked students who were going into the sort of technology end of education, if you could invent something, even if it were impossible, what would it be? And this student, without really stopping to think, because we've been working on exercises that led up to this, wrote this dandy little essay in which he talked about how his father had lost his ability to move himself. He was a paraplegic because of an accident on his bicycle a few years before. And he talked very straightforwardly about the fact that he missed the family life that he had. He missed going on picnics and to ball games with his father. And it's a hassle, he admitted, getting his father down in front of the television set. And he described that, and he said, I would, if I could, and I doubt I can, but if I could, I would invent a transporter just like on Star Trek, Beam Me Up, Scotty. Because then my dad could get down to watch TV with us without having to go through such a painful experience, and we could get it to happen right away. Well, you can bet that this approach to that essay topic is going to get him into the school he sends it to, because it tells so much about him, about how caring of a human being he is, etc. And there are so many parallels with what we do when we are, in effect, marketing ourselves. And we've been, most of our lives we've been fed very bad information about what it is to market ourselves. We have not encountered the fact that you need to be honest. You need to tell the truth. You need to be authentic. And you need to give somebody an experience of you, exactly as you are. A good experience of you is just the story of a transaction where something that you did made the transaction go through, helped people move on in their lives, etc. Not a story that tries to make you sound like a hero, but a story that just tells the story. And just telling the story gives people an experience of what it's like to be you and do what you do, and gives them a chance to make their decision that you're the person they want to work with. So that's what I'm up to once a year, every year, working with these kids.
Wow.
It's teaching.
That was an amazing story, Bill, and I hope everybody on this call could connect the dots on how relevant that is to us as mortgage professionals. We are, again, I took down a couple notes, but to me the most, I'm not going to say the most valuable, there was so much wisdom in that, but that thought of don't tell people how great you are, show them how great you are. And when you do create content, go back and review, does this show who I am in an authentic way? And did I show, not tell? I think there's a lot of formulas of success. Again, much easier said than done. Bill, you do an amazing job of taking what's happening in the marketplace, both economically, politically, in a macro way, and bringing that down to the trenches to help make mortgage professionals come across really smart and in a very unique and interesting way. So I want you to know again, we're going on 2 decades plus where you've been doing that for me in different roles, whether it was as a mortgage professional and now as a leader to loan officers. I just want you to know I'm really grateful to have you as part of Mortgage Coach, and just having you as a guest in this call just now made me realize that, we need to do things like this more often. I hope you can come back and share more stories like this and more wisdom like this.
Be glad to, Dave. It's great working with you.
Good. We'll stay on the call. I'm gonna bring Scott in just a second, and feel free to stay on the call, add some color if you'd like, and if you do have to go and you have other commitments, that's okay too. I don't want you to feel obligated, but I'm gonna bring Scott in just a minute, and we're gonna go at it for a little bit. So either way,
great.
So it's great. So again, one last reminder to everybody: if you are not paying attention to Bill's weekly
Thank you for holding.
Make sure you do. All right. So today, the call and the rest of the call, it's all about, getting faster path to realtor referrals. And let's face it, getting a new realtor to trust you, like you, to the point where they're giving referrals to you, it's not easy. And if you go about it just building relationship, it's a long path. It takes a long time. You need to get that realtor to go, wow, I never thought of my mortgage professional that way. I never thought mortgage advice could be delivered this way. And so this is the target. We've been talking, week after week. I've brought in the Challenger sale. I've talked about tailoring, teaching, controlling. This is the path to success, providing tailored advice, teaching people something, not quoting something, and then being a leader, controlling the sales process. So I wanted to put some context around that. Today's guest is going to be Scott Cummings. I'm going to bring him in formally in just a minute. Before I do that, I did want to do a quick survey. Jacob, if you could roll out this survey, I want to know how often is everybody on this call creating videos for realtors, and more precisely, edge videos. One of the things Scott's going to talk about, not only does he provide an edge report for all his home buyer clients and a video for many of them, but he's creating these one-to-many videos. And I want to just get a pulse check. How often is everybody on this call already doing this? Jacob, is the poll up yet?
Yes, Dave, the poll is up. We're currently at 37% voted.
Okay, so everybody, you know how we roll. I need to get to 70%, and let's get there quick so we can roll into the content with Scott. And Jacob, if you could give it about 10 seconds and then close it down and publish the results. Scott, any guesses how people are going to answer this?
I think they're going to be in the sometimes category. Maybe never. Might be a few in the monthly. And hopefully we get a small percentage in weekly. That's where you got to get to.
Good. Well, it's going to be a great call.
See?
Jacob, if you could lock it down and share the results and read them out for me since I can't see them.
Sure thing. The results are 11% weekly, 9% monthly, 27% sometimes, 53% never.
Woo! Well, we got our work cut out. We got to get that 53% out of never. By the way, I was pretty impressed with the weekly. If I had to guess, I would have been closer to 5%. So to me, I'm really happy to hear that 11% of you are doing that. Great job. And I am going to ask that you guys share that to me personally. If you want to keep it personal, share it to Dave at Mortgage Coach. And if you don't mind sharing it publicly in Scott's Facebook post, we're going to publish, if we haven't already, a link to some of his realtor videos. And I would love to see other people who are willing to share. This is the kind of video I'm creating for realtors to showcase mortgage strategies with Edge. So with that said, Jacob, if you could give me the screen share back, and actually we're going to hand it off to Scott in a minute. I do want to officially bring Scott into the conversation. Again, I think I mentioned earlier, this is a 20-year friendship of mine. I mean, this is someone that I have, he's flown out, done a site visit back when I was a mortgage originator. I have flown out, done a site visit with him. We've had, countless dinners together. Countless times where he's been on stage as a mortgage coach leader, whether it's in coaching calls like this or live venues that we've done. But I could go on with what an amazing friend Scott is. I think when it comes to why should you listen to Scott as a mortgage professional, I could go on with all the things that he does that is just super great. But I think the proof is in the pudding. This is a man who's got 2 books of testimonial letters. Thousands. Over 1,000 letters from actual customers, home buyers and realtors saying, wow, thank you so much for the amazing service, for the amazing advice. And to me, that's really hard to do. I've tried to get people to give testimonials. And at Mortgage Coach, we really do we've been pretty successful. We have hundreds of video testimonials. I'm proud of the social proof of our success and value, but no one does it better than Scott. I learn from Scott. He is my mentor when it comes to delivering amazing service, creating raving fans, and then bringing that magic into the experience. So, Scott, why don't you go ahead and we'll share the desktop. I know you've prepared some slides. I know you've prepared a teaching for the Mortgage Coach community around how you're leveraging Edge and how you're leveraging Ed videos to create more value and more leadership to realtors. So if you could, some people may not have heard you, so just a minute or so on yourself, and then let's get into the deck.
Sure. Yeah. The crazy thing, we were talking earlier, and listening to you and Bill, talk about. I used to do the InfoFax. We've been friends since that '95 era. I've done this since 1983. So this is my 30th year. We've helped thousands upon thousands and thousands of families, realtors with mortgages here in New Mexico and in Colorado. It's cool. I've been speaking, teaching, training thousands and thousands of realtors and loan officers all across the country over the last, 3 decades. And so to be sitting here on this call, I think the challenge for each and every one of us is we've got to keep it real and relevant. The world is changing, technology is moving quickly, and for us to stay and remain at the cutting edge of the marketplace, we need companies like you that are bringing out great technology that allow us to remain real and relevant. So I'm excited to share how we've been using your stuff. I've used Mortgage Coach since you created it. In 1997, I'm guessing, probably about when you created it. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, we thought of the idea in '96, started working on it, and we actually launched it at Sales Mastery of 1997, and no doubt you were among the very first, very small group of users, which I'm grateful for.
Yeah, and so, my testimonial to Mortgage Coach, I've never counted it up, but I'm confident I've closed well in excess of 1,000 transactions just for Mortgage Coach. So it's all good.
Yeah, by the way, that's huge.
Go ahead, Dave.
I said that is huge. That is just amazing that it's created that kind of value. Anyway, thanks for that, and I can't wait to hear what you have to share.
Yeah. Well, let's get started. Dave asked me to put something together to talk about Edge videos, and specifically, using edge videos, and the presentation I prepared today is not only talking about how can we make them more effective with an individual client, but I think where the power of the edge video comes in also is in what I think of the one-to-many conversation. How can we create a video that can be reused, that can discuss a strategy, how we've helped, financing options and tools that can be shared with more than one person? That is where we want to be. And so when I think about this, where I wanted to start today is I want to talk just a couple slides on how I kind of think about Mortgage Coach Edge and videos, how I get started, how I use it, and then we'll drill down on specific how-to strategies that you can use for individual clients and mass email strategies. We're going to talk about listing agents, selling agents. We're going to talk about affinity partners, CPAs, financial planners, trust attorneys, insurance professionals. So when I think about edge videos and getting started, and even kind of this mortgage coach and building it into my practice on a daily basis, I really challenge all of us to think, how do we keep it simple? I think sometimes when technology comes along, we want to overcomplicate it. My mom just got an iPad. This is a perfect example. She's been on a PC forever. She gets her iPad, and she's trying to bring a PC mindset to an iPad when I'm like, it's your finger. You touch it, you swipe it, it's all good. And so what I would challenge you when we think about Mortgage Coach Edge is really thinking about, how do I keep it simple? I don't want to overcomplicate it for me as a user. I don't want to overcomplicate it to who I'm sending it to be viewed. So that's one of my things. I always want to keep the strategy simple, the technology simple. One of the other things that you really want to work on is you've got to master the technology, because when I looked at, there were 80% of the respondents that were never and sometimes not creating these. I think it's because we get overwhelmed and we're just not comfortable with the technology. So spend some time, play on it. You know, what I've done kind of playing around with mine is if I help a client with a scenario, I may then jump on Mortgage Coach and say, well, hey, let me create an edge video or analysis, and that's a great way to play, because you should be familiar with the scenario, the options you created. Just take it and put it into an edge video. The great thing you could do, I had a client in, I've been out of the office essentially all of October, but right before I left for Balloon Fiesta, I met with a lady. We had a great live in-person presentation, and she walked out, and I sat down and did exactly what I just told you. Created a really cool edge presentation, sent it to her and said, hey, just wanted to summarize everything we talked about. Here's the scenarios. You know, feel free to view this yourself, show it to a trusted advisor, anyone you want to share it with, to make sure that you're comfortable with the decision and the options we're talking about. Practice, practice, practice. We hear this in anything that we do, and I just cannot echo enough. We've got to be doing it on a regular basis. The more we practice, the better we're going to play. One of the key tenets, and I love Bill talked about this, and Dave were talking about this earlier, and this is really where I live in my world, and originating 30 years later, helping thousands upon thousands of families, is I'm of the opinion we got to stop selling and we got to start educating. I remember speaking for Dave in Vegas, probably been 5 or 6 years ago, some big event. There was a couple thousand people in the room, and he asked me to bring out my testimonial letters. And I have today, I haven't counted them recently, but well in excess of probably 1,300 thank you letters. I brought them out, and I had them on the stage with me. And one of the things that I really challenged people with at that event was this idea of stop selling and start educating and empowering people. When I talked on a call a couple months ago, we did a call here about how we teach and educate realtors on a monthly basis. When we got to the end of the call, Dave asked me something. He said, Scott, he said, what's one takeaway you would share with us? What is the one thing that our audience could take away? And I said, stop selling and start focusing on making a difference. And I really think that's where we got to live, because if we live there today, especially after this real estate crisis, people are asking, can I trust you? Do you have my best interest at heart? Will you do what you say you're going to do? Mortgage Coach is the thing that provides us the tools and the analysis to show how we can help people. It takes the opinion out of it and puts fact to it. Let's talk a little bit about creating videos. One of the things I'm a big fan of, and I don't know where you are on this, but I just see when I go to industry events, to the monthly luncheons, and I'm out, and even doing these videos, I want to dress professionally. If you'll notice, I think in all of my videos, as I dress pretty much every day, I want to be in a suit and tie. I want to create a distinction. Does it make a difference? I'm confident it does. I would challenge you, take a Saturday or some weekday, go to the mall, casually dress, go to a couple nice shops and places and look around, and then go back to those same shops and a really nice, super nice suit and tie, and I'm confident you're going to be treated differently. It's just a perception thing. And so we want to dress professionally. We are professionals. If you want to be the best, I think you've got to represent that. This is another simple thing. I try and use this in each and every recording I ever do. I always want to think about something fun. I want to be smiling before I hit that record button. Because how many of us have gone on YouTube or somewhere else and you see the video and it's just some crazy, insane facial expression before it starts? So there again, from the moment the video shows up and they go to click on it, have that smile on, look professional. A couple other tips that I use. Look directly into the camera. If we think about having the mortgage coach up on our screen, top left corner is always the summary section. Well, you may focus on that because it's got more facts and figures and numbers on it. What I've done on my computer screen is I've slid over my camera on the top of my screen to the far left corner, so I'm looking directly into the lens, not down at the screen. Again, subtle distinction, but will make a huge difference. Another thing that I think is vitally important is always start out personally thanking and sharing your appreciation. These people have come to you and said, again, can I trust you? Will you help me? Do you have my best interest at heart? Let's take a few moments and truly share and thank them for the opportunity to help educate and empower them to make an informed decision. We want to reaffirm their realtor choice. This is huge. We know pretty much 99.9% of all the realtors we work with really well, and so I can always compliment them on their choice of the realtor. Just as Dave did with me, talk about our long-term relationship, we're friends, how we work together, maybe some professional accreditations they have. Again, I want to do that. I think it's great for our realtor relationships, and I can honestly do it because I have relationships with these people. Another thing I'm big on is don't read notes. People can always tell when you're reading. When we think about these presentations, you've spent how much of your time getting the numbers, putting it together, crunching everything, creating the analysis. You got to know the presentation. I would encourage you to not use notes. When we think about the sections, when we think about the video, we typically only have 2 to 3, maybe 4 minutes before we run out of video recording time. And so summarize the sections. You're not going to be able to explain everything. Hit the 2 or 3 key points. Another thing I want to mention in all my videos is I want to mention the charts or graphs or more info buttons. And I want to remind them, if they're on a tablet, a mobile device, a PC, I want to remind them to click on it because that's where they're going to be able to drill down on the data and the facts and the numbers. So in closing on this slide, I think the key that I would encourage you to is to own the presentation. Just be professional, bring the level of confidence to it, and own it. Now let's drill down on some of the strategies that we use. There again, I think this is one of the most effective things that we can do, and it's really under this guise of mass email or the one-to-many. And when I think about the one-to-many, one of the things I always do, we use our CRM system as MPC. And so an MPC or anyone that you have, typically you can take some HTML code and you can drop it into the subject line to be sure that their first name is on there. I see that we have a much higher open rate if I have the first name in the subject line combined with some attention-grabbing message. And so those are 2 simple things that I promise you will increase your open rate. The other thing that I really, really want to focus on and encourage you to do is don't rely on the video and don't rely necessarily on the 2 or 3 minute message or the mortgage coach presentation to convey everything. I would challenge you to have a well-written email. And so when we think about that well-written email, take the time to write it out to explain it. When I write out the email, I think the one that Dave's going to post on Facebook we just did on the high cost of waiting, I also want to write content to be shared. And what I mean by that is if I'm sending an email to a realtor, and that realtor may be encouraged to share that with a potential homeowner or renter, affinity partner, whoever it may be, I want to be sure that that email is written from me. And the reason for that is I don't want the realtor to try and feel, how do they explain it? How do they take what I said and convert it to their own words? I want to create an email and put it out there that they can just simply say, hey, Ford, here's from a local expert. This is really great information. You ought to look at it. The other thing I always try and do in the email is add an additional item of value. What is a great report? Something maybe you've written another story, could be from another website or your own website. Put some other additional items of value in there that's something beyond your video. Again, we're here to educate and empower. We're not here to try and sell them something. Be sure you add disclaimers. Mortgage Coach has got the disclaimers. A lot of times will mention the disclaimers in the video about rates and fees may change, and also put it into the email. Be sure your NMLS number's in there. We can't harp on that stuff enough. And always create a call to action. It's great to put something out there, but have a call to action. Maybe a follow-up to call you, a mortgage planning day, if you have any questions, whatever it may be. If I'm sending it to realtors, maybe it's calling, setting up an appointment. Well, let's talk about email strategies to clients. What are we doing with email strategies to clients? When I think about the clients, one of the keys that I want to do, because it's myself and the team, I always want to have the name, typically the last name in the subject line, and I want to have analysis. It could be mortgage coach analysis, total TCA analysis, total cost. I have something in there so when we see the email, myself or my team can know that, oh, that's the analysis that Scott's created, and we can always go back. With our CRM system, they're all attached to the record, so if anyone goes into the client record, they can easily pull this up. But having an analysis in there is, in my mind, super helpful. I talked about this on a prior slide, but again, when we're sending it to the client, take the time. And I think that should be how we start out, to thank, share the appreciation. What I try and do with the client email is I'm going to summarize the programs and the benefits. I may briefly talk about the other screens, but typically I'm in that summary section in the upper left corner, or I'm just talking about, here's some key things. This is the why I created the video and why it's impactful or important or may impact you and your finances. That's really it. We want to get across the why to the people. We talked about this before, and the disclaimers, add value, call to action. That's all going to be synonymous. Whether it's a one-to-many video or a video simply to the client, we want to have this kind of same mentality. And I want to park here for a little bit on this idea of edge videos. And it was so cool that Bill talked about this earlier, and so many people talk about this. And if we think about life, it's all about the story. You know, if we think about the Olympics, to me are a perfect example. When we're watching the Olympics, it's not about the people running a track event. What everyone loves is when they segue to what the backstory. And we learn about some young man who maybe had polio as a kid and they never thought he would walk, and here he is and he just won the gold medal in a track event. We love the backstory, and it's the story that captivates. It's the story that compels people to have a connection and want to take action. And we think about an edge video, we don't want to make it so dry about the numbers. It is about numbers to educate and empower people, but it's the story that conveys how we're helping others. And so if it's a one-to-many, think about what that story might look like. What is the why in the video that you're trying to convey? One of the things that will really help you with story is this idea of sharing how you've helped clients. And we think about helping clients, it's not, hey, I helped Bob and Betty Smith save $200 a month. What did that mean to them? You know, Bob and Betty Smith lowered their payment $200 a month and saved 9.5 years in their mortgage, and now they're going to be able to retire. You just helped a young couple buy the first home because the only thing they ever wanted was to have a backyard so little Johnny and the puppy could play together. You know, is it children of aging parents, college, building a dream home, a vacation home? There's so many stories, and if we think about real estate is an emotional decision. I mean, how many of us, I've been with my wife since 1989, all the homes we bought, when she falls in and kind of brings her hands up towards her chest and her throat and says, oh my gosh, I love it. It's an emotional thing. Homes are very emotional, all the things that it connotates in family and meals and holidays. So think about the story. How do we share that in a real, impactful way? That's going to get your videos watched. That's going to help you create more impactful videos. Another strategy, when I'm out meeting with CPAs, financial planners, realtors, or whoever else it may be, I'm going to share how these videos have helped other professionals. And so maybe it's sharing a financial concept. Maybe it's sharing how myself and a realtor were able to help someone accomplish their dream of homeownership. Let's talk about that. Because if we can show how we're helping others, they may become engaged and say, gosh, I want to be part of this technology. When we think about technology, this is an area that we really need to talk up. You know, how many of us are just consumed by the mobile device? And there's all the stats. Dave does a great job through his weekly coaching calls to talk about mobile and video use. And, you know, YouTube's one of the second largest search engines in the world, and all of the data that's out there. And how many of us, when we're at a Starbucks or out on a date or we're somewhere and you look around, everyone is on a mobile device. And so we want to talk up that technology, that's where we all live. And so if that's where we all live, how do we bring our services, our professionalism, and showcase it with technology? So I think anything we can do to talk it up, not that people aren't aware of it, but the statistical data, and Dave shared some comments about how many emails and what % have video attached and how that's increasing. It's a way we continue to show that this technology is relevant. Let's talk about when we go meet with, we do high-trust interviews with referral partners. When we think about it, and it's great that 20 years and Duncan, Duncan may have been the guy who really brought to our industry this idea of a high-trust interview. But when we think about the high-trust interview and we get someone to agree to meet with us, we've got to go out, and the number one goal has got to be a value-added presentation. We're not there to sell them on ourselves, tell them how great we are, how many people we've helped. We're there to listen to them, to find out what are their greatest challenges, what is the why, what does success mean to them, what are they doing to get there, what are the greatest obstacles they're having, and then we need to be able to share ideas and strategies in a way that says, here's how we can help move you closer to your goal. Here's some things that you can do with technology to make your business more relevant. How many of our, let's just pick on real estate people for a minute, how many of our real estate partners are uncomfortable with financing and financing options and strategies? Well, it's not their job to know that. So if we can sit down with them and say, gosh, Mrs. Realtor, instead of you trying to share that, what if I could create a video that could share these 3 points that you could go out and meet with someone and convey to them? That's going to be really huge. One of the things that I like to do is I want to showcase the technology. I'm an Apple guy, so when I go out on a meeting, I've got my iPhone, I have my iPad, I may have my Mac. I want to have all of my stuff there, and as I'm talking about Edge and how relevant it is and how we use it in our practice, I want to pull out the iPhone, click on it, an email, and showcase a video. I want to go through the screens and show the graphics and the numbers. I want to show the pen to zoom. I want to do the same thing on my iPad, or I want to do it on my PC. And if I'm showcasing the technology, I'm showcasing them how the ease of use, the presentation, the look, the feel, how the video starts. That's awesome. And what I'm doing is I'm creating a buy-in, right? I'm getting them to say, you've got to be kidding me, and we can make this available to people. I want to share client reactions. I want to share how other people have looked at it. I want to share how my home buyers and people I've worked with. I want to share partner reactions. And I want to talk about, ultimately, how is it going to impact their business? Because as I started the slide, the number one goal is a value-added presentation that helps them take their business and practice to the next level. And that's really what we're here to do with people. And so let's drill down even further. I want to talk about what we've been doing with listing agents. How many of us call on real estate professionals, and how many of us have heard, oh, all my people pay cash, I don't really work with buyers, all I do are listings? Well, that's great. What if we could help them with a listing presentation? And so one of the things that I think is significant where the realtor who's meeting with a potential home seller is to talk about financing strategies and their impact on the property. One of the most significant things is the idea of price reduction versus closing cost allowance. And so if a realtor can sit down with a potential home seller and say, Mr. Seller, your house, let's pick a number, is priced at $200,000, and we've had some comments from other realtors, maybe we should lower the price. Well, if we took off a $5,000 and made the home $195,000, how is that helping us sell the house? And they can discuss that. But more importantly, they can say, Mr. Seller, what if we offered the home at $200,000 and we offered a $5,000 closing cost allowance, and you start to walk someone through the math. And you said most buyers in this price range are going to make a 5% down payment. So 5% of a $5,000 price reduction, out-of-pocket closing costs, all this home buyer saved on your home is $250, 5% of $5,000. You could say, however, Mr. Seller, if we offered a $5,000 closing cost allowance, you allowed me to write that into the MLS comments and specifically talk about that. So when people are doing home searches, now our property is going to show up that we're offering a closing cost allowance. A $5,000 closing cost allowance just saved the buyer $5,000 out of pocket. That brings more buyers to our property. It allows people that may not have the funds to purchase this home to buy it, and they can talk about it. Well, instead of them trying to explain those concepts, they can sit down and on their PC, a tablet, a phone, whatever it may be, and they can show them a video that explains this. We can create financing options for listings. And so when they're holding the house open, what if they could email them some creative financing options? That's been hugely impactful for us. We have listing agents that I meet with. I was on an open house tour the other day, and some people were frustrated with price. And I said, let me create a video for you. Take the video, sit down, email it to the seller, meet with them, and I'm confident this is going to help you get a better price on the home or position, as I said earlier, with substantial closing cost allowance. I met with a realtor. She had 5 listings. She put this on 5 listings. She sold 3 of the 5 listings in 2 weeks and was blown away that we were able to help do that. The high cost of waiting video, Dave and his staff does a great job on talking about this high cost of waiting. You know, the high cost of waiting can be used with a realtor and potential home sellers for listings to say, gosh, Mr. Seller, you know, home values from last year to this year in my market went up 5%. And so they say we could wait another 12 months and maybe we get another 5% in value. However, let's look at the impact of mortgage rates on home ownership. And a 1% increase in rates is an 11% impact on sales price of the home. So it may be better, and we may have more qualified buyers to act today than waiting. Let's talk about selling agent strategies. You know, one of the things that I've done since Dave has created this technology is the idea of the total cost analysis. The total cost analysis is huge. We send it to the buyers. We send it to the agents. I picked up a new real estate relationship with a top realtor in town a couple months ago. She was blown away. First buyer she sends me, I create a TCA, I send it to the buyer, and I send her a copy. The buyer sends us an additional referral, and so we turned 1 transaction into 2 transactions. Created huge raving fans, and I'm able to call the realtor back and say, how cool is that? You know, this is the power of the technology. This is the difference between educating, empowering, and then selling. We talk about the high cost of waiting. You know, we can use that all the time with buyers. That's hugely impactful. Rent versus own, we've been doing some rent versus own. I met with a real estate company. They do property management. I said, gosh, what if we created a rent versus own analysis that you could send out to all of your tenants to be able to show them the people that truly have a desire to achieve home ownership, what is the impact of waiting? You know, is it price? Is it rate? What's going to impact their ability to buy? We can find one-to-many strategies there. As I said earlier, we're always sharing how we've helped. Another thing that we do with agents all the time is use it to illustrate new financing options that are out there and available in the market. Let's talk about affinity partners. Dave and I have been big fans of working with CPAs and financial planners and trust attorneys and insurance professionals, accountants. There's a whole group of people that we can work with that are high trust, very respected, and that's how we want to be. And so with the affinity partner, we can create edge videos that showcase market statistics. We can talk about creative financing programs for them. I mean, there again, sending something to a trust attorney, a CPA, an insurance person, this isn't their realm, and we want to show them that we are experts in our field just like they're experts in their field. Arbitrage strategies. You know, for some clients, this isn't good for everyone, but if you have a very prudent client, lots of money in the bank, perfect credit, no debt, you can talk to them about what are you earning on your investments, what have homes done, does it make more sense to put your money into the house, to pay cash, to not pay cash. We can create some very complex strategies using the reinvestment strategies with Mortgage Coach Edge are huge. Cash versus financing comparison, those are substantial. The high cost of waiting, again, another great video to showcase to a financial professional, you know, rates have increased from 2012 to 2013, 1%. What has that impact been on their clients? How have you helped strategies? We've talked about some of these before. There's so many things that we can use Edge for because we help so many different people. It has been significant. When we think about home buyers, I keep urging, sharing my mantra that I always share when I speak nationally to people is let's educate and empower people to make an informed decision. I cannot tell you, I bet I've worked with 20 first-time buyers in the last couple months over the course of the summer. So many of the buyers come to my office. I had a young lady in the other day, and she said, well, I went and met with her bank, credit union, one of her lenders, and she said, they told me that FHA was best for me. And I said, well, how do you know? And she said, well, because they said. And I said, well, you know, let's quantify it. So we took out Mortgage Coach live. I dropped in what they offered. I put in what we could offer in an FHA. We were a couple thousand in closing costs less and about a quarter in rate less. But more importantly, I was able to show her even FHA may not be the best. We were able to put her in a 5% down conventional loan. I saved her $159 a month on her payment. And so there again, we're not here to sell. We're here to educate and empower. And if we take that attitude with each and every client, what you'll find is you'll end up like me after a number of years that you've got, you know, well over 1,000 thank you letters, all your businesses referred. It's not that we're any brighter or smarter. It's really that we're so client-focused and we're here to help them. We're not here to sell them anything. I had a young kid, a couple in the other day. They came in. He had they were probably in their 20s. We spend 15 or 20 minutes talking. I tell him this thing that I'm not here to sell. I'm here to educate and empower. We get done. He gives me the fist pump, and he says, dude, thanks for being legit. He said, you're the first lender we met with that's truly had our best interest at heart. That's how we build a sustainable practice that lasts 30 years like mine. We think about some of these other things. We've talked about so many of these options. I think the biggest thing when I think about Mortgage Coach and I think about my clients, to sum it up, when I think of client planning with Mortgage Coach, I'm not here just to help get them into a mortgage. I really want to be here to help create an epiphany about money and finance and, what is the impact of the mortgage and home ownership on their overall financial goals and objectives? How does it impact their ability to save, fund kids' college? All of these things, if we can truly help people get an epiphany, have that aha, like, oh my gosh, I never thought of, or help people rebuild the dream of home ownership and create new possibilities in their life, that's going to help us to be a hero. Dave, that's my quick summary. We've got a couple minutes for questions and answers, and I'm turning it back to you, buddy.
Well, your quick summary was boom. I mean, talk about a massive amount of value, takeaways. I hope people are going to re-listen to this call. We did record it. It will be available in our YouTube page within the hours. Scott was gracious enough to take one of his videos that he created, The High Cost of Waiting, and put a link on our Facebook page. So if you go to the Mortgage Coach Facebook page, you will see some links to that. And as I mentioned earlier in the call, I'd be grateful for anybody else who's got a great realtor video where you created one video with the goal of educating and teaching many realtors around how your advice is valuable. I hope you will put that on our Facebook page. I want to remind everybody, if it wasn't really clear from what Scott said, he used the word educate, just teach, educate, same thing. Tailor, teach, and then be a leader. Control. This is the way you get value. Jacob, if you could, I want to put up a quick survey. Are you going to create an edge video for every realtor, well, not every realtor, for your realtors this week? Yes, no, or maybe. I want to see if we were able to connect with people, inspire them emotionally to take action on this. And then, Scott, I do have some questions. Everything from how do we get people to actually watch the video, while you had a slide with your best practices, I do want to spend a minute talking about that because,
sure.
And I want to make sure you and I are aligned. I want to share some perspectives I have on the realtor strategy, see if you agree or if you have some things to add to that. Jacob, have we got a good percentage of people who have voted to this survey question yet?
We are at 45% right now, Dave. Come on, everybody. Let's give it a little push so we can get on.
Okay. Yeah, give us a quick push. Did we inspire you to take action to where you're going to create an edge video for a realtor this week? Are you going to do it? If you could stop the share and let's see how many results we got. Jacob, what did we end up with?
We have 84% yes, 16% no.
All right. So, hey, I think that's no one said maybe? No considers?
No, actually, I only gave a yes, no on this one, Dave. My bad. I should have put a maybe in there for you.
Don't worry about it. Let's get into the content. Is my desktop share back on, Jacob?
Yes, it is. It's back to you.
Okay, good. So, Scott, I'd say you were successful inspiring people. The majority are going to take action. They're going to create a video. Again, Scott put a list of all of his strategies. These are what I consider to be the core. A home buyer comparison report, a buyer, just a basic home buyer analysis. Why the home buyer analysis versus just a rate quote, a move-up analysis. Everybody who's moving up, there's an economic benefit to moving up. Put that in an edge report. A first-time buyer analysis, and then again, you can name it a lot of different things, but the why buy now analysis. These are core reports, and I urge, if you don't know how to create all these, if you don't know how to create a video around it, come to our Thursday call with Jacob, and we'll make sure we make that really clear. Now, I also want to make sure this is really clear. Not only is it a great idea to have these reports, create these videos for realtors, not only is it a great idea to have them on your iPad so that when you go out to the real estate office or when you're having meetings, you can open up your mobile device, whatever that mobile device is, and don't just tell them how great you are. In the words of Bill Fisher at the beginning of the call, show them your mortgage strategies. So that's important. But just as important, make sure that when you send a link to the edge report to the home buyer, you're CCing the realtor. Again, make sure you have the home buyer's permission. So don't just randomly put it in there. You'll go, hey, I would like to put your referring realtor, who's an amazing realtor, in the link, so they know what I have provided with you. Make sure when you're doing that, even if you met with the client personally, in the first, spend 5 seconds, 10 seconds, and remind how great the realtor is. As you start the video, you're so lucky to be working with such and such. Now, here are the goals that you told me, so repeat back the goals as you heard them. And now, to Scott's point, tell the story, so that now every time that realtor is sending you a referral, they're seeing that not only are you making them a hero, but you're delivering them something more than just a rate quote. So that is the path to the bullseye. Wow, I never thought of it that way before. That's how you teach. That's how you deliver value. Scott, does that make sense to you? Anything you want to add to those thoughts?
One thing I want to really say, and I think this will help a lot of people, is, I send these out to a bunch of people that I know and work with, and I'll follow up and say, hey, did you watch the video? And they'll be like, gosh, no, I didn't get around to it. It's in my inbox. And we can't take this personally. Sales is a game, if you will, and people are busy, and everyone is, think about in your world and my world. Every day when my email comes in, I'm asking one thing: what's in it for me? Is there any reason for me to open it? So don't take it personally. What I'll do, I'll repackage it. I may change it. I may rewrite the email, and I'll send it back out. Or when I call them, because in my CRM it pops up that I sent it to them, I'll call them and they say, gosh, I'll do it. And I may say something like, that was super impactful. Let me tell you the comments I've received from others. Let me resend it to you. I urge you to watch it. And so it's like anything else. Statistically, when you read about sales and you get a lead, if the customer many times doesn't say yes, it may take up to 6 calls. Well, you're not going to create a video, send it to 100 realtors, and all 100 are going to watch it. But if you stay on it and you work and you continue to talk about value and how it's helping, it may take 2 or 3 times, but I guarantee if you'll just remain consistent and committed that it will create a difference, you're going to see usage and viewership of those videos go up.
So I hope everybody got that takeaway. I mean, part of Scott's strategy is there is no one email to get read by everybody. It's a process. I think the thing I would add to that, and again, he covered it earlier, I just want to remind you, is don't try to boil the ocean in the email. Keep it simple. Good headline, good subject line, and when good means it's interesting. What's in it for them? Their name and something of value. Quality headline that I want to click on this. And then remember, don't boil the ocean. If they don't watch it in that first forward, follow up. Have a conversation. Have another email. At the end of the day, you're going to drive enough people through that amazing experience. And again, I want to remind everybody on this call, we're here to help you. Everybody in our organization is a mobile expert. Everybody has an iPad. Everybody knows how to drive these experiences. This Thursday at 9 o'clock, the focus is going to be around realtor videos. So if you want to get ahead of the game, you can go to our mortgage coach page, click on support, put in realtor video, and there's a number of training and teaching tools to help you move that forward. But don't miss it. If you know how to do this, great. Keep doing what you're doing. If this is new to you and you have some technical questions, we're here to make sure that, this call on Tuesdays, it's ideas, it's inspiration, it's specific things you can do. Thursday, it's all about teaching you to do it and getting into the details to do that. Again, I want to remind everybody we're at Mastery. If you are here, come up and say hi to me. And please, I want to see a lot of Mortgage Coach entries into the Mortgage Idol program. So you get that on our Facebook page, and it's going to be amazing. We've got a lot of new vision in terms of how we're teaching you how to make mobile valuable to home buyers and realtors. And regardless of whether you have an iPhone or an Android device, you have an easy, amazing mortgage experience. So I want a big thank you to Scott, big thank you to Bill Fisher. Bill, I don't know if you're still on the call, but it was awesome to have you back in the Mortgage Coach community, and I can't wait to have you on another call.
Thanks, Dave.
Good. You stayed through it. And Scott,
I loved it, man.
Oh, good. I'm glad you loved it. Well, you had your people on the call. I mean, it was great to have both of you. We share a lot of the same values and visions, everybody on this call today. Scott, any parting words before we wrap it up, my man?
You know, you got to get out, you got to crush it, and you got to do it. This whole someday conversation doesn't work. You got today. How do you make today great? You know, you got to take action. So that's what I challenge everyone with. Take today and crush it.
Right on. I don't know if I can say anything better than that. Let's just leave it at that. Take the day and crush it. Make a video for realtors and have an awesome day. Take care, everybody.